Have you seen the acclaimed film Joker that will probably win several Oscars this year? Arthur Fleck's story is breathtaking, but he is still a fictional hero. Unfortunately, there are people like him in real life, and sometimes they are even worse. Some of them commit atrocities because of childhood traumas, lack of money, or simple desire to become famous. Today we're gonna tell you about the 8 most dangerous criminals in the history, and find out how some of them managed to stay free. But before we start, I remember you that you can subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell for the newest videos. This is Top Way. Let's start. Matteo Messina Denaro. You told stories of the Sicilian Mafia exist only in movies? Unfortunately, you are wrong. This criminal was raised following the Mafia rules. Because he was born into a Mafia family, Matteo committed his first crime at the age of 18. Today he is 57 years old and is credited with the death of more than 50 victims. He began to earn importance in the Sicilian Mafia in the early 90s, when he got rid of his father's main rival and his girlfriend. He wasn't even deterred by the fact that she was 3 months pregnant. It's believed that Matteo has also been involved in a number of larger cases, such as organizing crimes involving multiple victims in some Italian cities. In any case, he has been wanted for more than 20 years, and in 2002 he was sentenced to life imprisonment in absentia. However, this didn't prevent him from reaching the top ranks of the Mafia and becoming the new godfather of Cosa Nostra in 2006. On his way to this position, Matteo, by the way, didn't spare the law officers as well. He is accused of having participated in the death of Judge Giovanni Falcone. Over the last few years, the police have detained dozens of Matteo's accomplices and relatives, but the leader himself remains at large. Moreover, even under these conditions, he continues to lead Europe's main criminal organization. Some rumors even suggest that Matteo underwent a facial transplant operation and continues to live in Italy, controlling the economy of the entire province. No one knows for sure whether this is true or not. John Dillinger. Back in 1930s, you couldn't discuss anything about crime and gangsters without bringing up the infamous John Dillinger. The Depression-era crook made his name thanks to the numerous robberies he was involved in. In and out of jail, Dillinger knew the system well, and clearly wasn't intimidated by the guards or the seemingly hopeless situation of getting looked up. In 1933, he escaped from an Ohio prison after having guns smuggled in. However, the real daring escape took place while Dillinger was being held at the Crown Point jail in Indiana in 1934. This gangster hatched a plan to break out of what was said to be an escape-proof facility. After whittling a fake gun from a piece of wood, Dillinger bluffed the guards and locked a bunch of them up. To rub it in, he was even stole the sheriff's car for his getaway. Guards later said that the gun was real, but the FBI disagrees, and we think that was just an excuse to save the face, and wasn't having any of that. Considered the Turkish version of Alcatraz, prisoners were allowed a little more freedom to move about, because who would possibly be foolish enough to escape from an island? In October 1975, he used the cover of darkness to swim out of a rowboat that had been treated up. From there, he rode for 8 hours to reach his highs, actually turned it into a book and then a movie. Andrei Chikatilo. This is another ruthless killer who became known for his atrocities all over the world. Before his first murder in 1978, Chikatilo had a normal Soviet man's life. He studied, obtained several degrees, served in the army, got married, and had even children. At some point, however, something went wrong. One day, in his own words, Andrei accidentally killed a 9-year-old girl, and since then he has not been able to stop. By the way, for his first crime, another criminal, Alexander Klavchenko, was wrongfully executed. In the following years, up to 1990s, Chikatilo killed more than 50 people, many of whom were minors. The criminal found his victims on the street, offered them to see something interesting, and lured them into the forest, where he committed his terrible crimes. Finally, after a long investigation, Chikatilo was arrested on November 20, 1990s. He himself confessed all of his atrocities, and the court quickly sentenced him to death. The killer tried to ask for forgiveness from the president of Russia, Boris Yeltsin, but the request was rejected. On February 14, 1994, Chikatilo was executed in Novocherkassk's prison. The Bluff. The guard looked at it and said that he had never seen that kind of ID. With that, he left the prison and hopped on a boxcar of freedom. Fortunately, he was recaptured a few days later. But aren't you glad the prison security is so dang tight? Lobster Boy. This criminal is very odd and has lived one of the most odd lives ever lived. His real name is Grady Franklin Stiles Jr. He was nicknamed the Lobster Boy thanks to a condition that's common in his family. He went into the carnival at the age of 7, as there weren't many things he could do thanks to his hands. He later got married to another carnival performer, but as he aged, he became angry and drank way too much, which caused him to turn evil. He was horrible to his wife and 4 kids, 2 of which had hands like he did. When one of his kids without the odd hands grew up and got married, he became jealous and shot her husband in the face. He went to prison but was released years later. He then began to say he would do the same thing he did to his kid's husband, to his wife, as she got remarried when he was locked up. But his wife didn't want to take any chances, so she paid another carnival work of $1,500 to take him out. Nobody came to his funeral, and on his grave was just his name and 2 praying hands. Underwear Strangler. Yeah, as you tell by this guy's name, he's seriously strange. This guy's real name is John, but he went to Jack. He is Ocean, and ever since his yacht he was in and out of jail for petty theft, for things like that. But in 1974 he changed for the worst. He strangled a woman with her own bra until she passed. He then did this to around 40 more women and then moved to LA, where he did it some more. He got caught but was somehow freed from prison, but then later went on to do it 4 more times. Finally the LAPD stopped him, he was given a life sentence. But the creepy thing about this guy is he was writing for magazines during all of this, and people didn't even know it was him writing. Imagine your favorite columnist doing something like this. I don't know about you, but that would really freak me out. And even after he went to jail, he was still writing in his cell. He was in prison for around 4 years, but then chose to take his own life by a similar method he used on other people. I guess that's karma for you. Felician Kabuga. This criminal story is pretty ambiguous. On the one hand, he is considered the richest man in the African state of Rwanda. On the other hand, he is responsible for the most terrible tragedy in the country's history, the extermination of a whole ethnic group. We are talking about the massacres of the Tutsi people during the 1994 civil war. According to various estimates, between 500,000 and 1 million people died on Rwandan territory at this time. That is to say, approximately 20% of the population. The history of the conflict between the two opposing peoples, Hutu and Tutsi, goes back several decades, but 25 years ago it was at its worst. Everything happened after the death of the then president of Rwanda, Juvenal Habyarimana, in a plane crash. Kabuga, who was already an influential businessman at that time, blamed the Tutsi people on the radio and called for the extermination. In many ways, his words as well as the active financing of crimes led to the massacre. His ruthless broke all records. Technically, Kabuga himself didn't kill anyone. However, the International Criminal Tribunal of Rwanda judged him to be the mastermind behind the massacre. Then the Rwandan authorities didn't dare to arrest the criminal and he hurriedly fled the country. Today he is 84 years old and according to some reports he is hiding in Switzerland. The FBI will pay $5 million for his capture. Comment down below if we should make another list of dangerous prison inmates. Smash a like on this video and subscribe to our channel for the newest videos.